meatloaf. And I thought you would want to be right here with me because these are the kind of things that we're doing in the kitchen this week for the holiday. So, the first thing I'm going to do, this meatloaf is going to be so simple and so quick to fix. So, I've got my mandolin and I have it on the smallest setting. So, we're going to first take a green pepper, and I hope you all are having a wonderful week and getting some things done so that you'll have a nice stress-free week. Now, I've got about half of that pepper that's going to be in there. I'm going to do a little bit more. Sorry about the noise. The bracelet is changing, but on the side of this. But anyway, we're working on the green pepper. I'm so glad to have all of you here. It's going to be a great time. We're also going to include some fresh onion, of course, and that's always necessary. So I'm not quite sure how much we'll put in, but I know we won't need the whole onion. Okay, I've got about half of that onion that's been shredded. All right, now I have a package of ground beef that we're going to add to this. And this was a nice size, but I'm not sure I'm going to use all of it. We're going to start with about half and see what that looks like. And then if we need more, we can always add more. That's about half. And for this particular meatloaf, I'm thinking that's probably, I think I need just a little bit more. And the rest, I'll put in a Ziploc bag and put in the freezer, and we'll have it for later. Okay, so as you can see, that was a 4.5 pounds, and we've used just a little over half. Now, so our green peppers are here, our onions are here, and I'm going to add in a little bit of tomato paste because I like that in my meatloaf. And I like the tubes of tomato paste. Now this has probably just the amount that I need that's left in this particular tube. So I know I'm going to have to take out a second one, but we're going to add that in. Okay. We're going to get some other seasonings because we need some house seasoning. So let me get that. Okay, I got my Mrs. Dash. I've also got some just regular house seasoning. So here's our no salt seasoning, Mrs. Dash. That's 1, 2. And I love these little wooden spoons. Aren't they cute? They fit right into the jar. Ready to go. Okay, I'm also going to need some house seasoning. And this is just black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. That's all it is. So I'm going to put in about 1.5 teaspoons of that. Now, let me wash hands real quick. Got my water over here, nice and soapy, ready to go. There we go. Now, we're also going to need an egg. But in addition to that, do you put steak sauce in your meatloaf? I do. So we're going to have to get some steak sauce out. Let's see. Here we go. I like Worcestershire. So I've got that. And I think that's all we're going to need out of there. So Worcestershire it is. All right. I lost you for just a moment. Sorry about that. It was a little off balance. Okay, here we go. Now, we're so glad you're here. All right, we've got our Worcestershire sauce. That's our Lee and Perrin. And we're going to add that in. This is a great make-ahead dish. And so that was about 1/4 of a cup of steak sauce. Now we've got green peppers. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see, we've got Moon. Well, good morning, Moon. Glad to have you. We've got TTM Trey. Hello, hello. We have Wish Upon Wrist. Hello, you're so sweet. And Darren, hello, we're glad to have you. We've got Devin, you're a good cook, and so am I. All right, well, I'm glad you're a good cook. You know, that's what we need this week. Great cooks in the kitchen, because everybody's going to want to know, what are we preparing? Now, so we've got everything in there. My hands are nice and clean. I'm going to get in there and massage and get our meat all mixed up with the onions and the green peppers. We've got things going on in the kitchen. Let's just get all of that in. And this is going to be so good. Now, the good thing about preparing this as a make-ahead meatloaf is the fact that all of these flavors are going to be able to go through the meat. And that's exactly what we want. We want lots of good flavor to just permeate all of this meat. Okay. So we got that all mixed up, and we don't want to over mix it, because sometimes that can make it just a little bit tough. But we're not going to worry about that today, because we don't have time to do any over mixing. So the meatloaf is ready to go. We've got our paste, tomato paste, and we're going to need a little more of that. You know what needs to go in? I'm going to add just a little bit of breadcrumbs. And in addition to a few breadcrumbs, not a lot, because I don't want a lot of filler, but we're also going to add 1 egg. So I'm going to go ahead and crack that. Whoop, get that 1 egg in. There we go. And get my hands clean. We're also going to add those breadcrumbs. Just a few. So, come on, let's get those breadcrumbs over here. I'm going to turn you around. And we're going to go over here and get our breadcrumbs. Got some panko. Now, when I fix this later in the week, we are going to take a moment, and we're going to fix some. We're going to serve it over rice. You could certainly serve it over some mashed potatoes if you have mashed potatoes, but I know we're probably going to have mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving, so that's the reason why I'm not going to make mashed potatoes with this probably this week. And of course, this does not want to open. There we go. Needs just a little grip. Got that going. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle in just a little bit. That's about 1/4 of a cup to 1/2 a cup of breadcrumbs. We're going to go in with our hands. Devin's asking, what is meatloaf? Well, meatloaf is a basically a baked dish that once we finish with it here, we're going to shape it like a loaf. In fact, I'm going to put it in a loaf pan, and that's where it's going to cook. Now, I like to put a layer of tomato ketchup on top because it just gives it a good flavor. And some people don't, but some people do more of a brown gravy. I like a tomato gravy. And so we're going to do that. So our meatloaf is in there. It's nice and it's all together. The egg is mixed up in there because the egg is going to help to hold the shape and hold it together. Now let me get our loaf pan. Now, you know, when we're working with meat, we have to make sure that we wash our hands quite a bit. All right. Now, I've got our loaf pan, and I'm using a silicone loaf pan. I'm going to give it just a little bit of a spray, so let me come over here. Whew, I'm tripping. Okay, got our canola. My rug is moving. Okay, got our canola spray. Gonna give it just a little spray. See if you can see that. All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to take our meatloaf, and just like you form a loaf when you're forming your bread, if you're making bread, we'll put our meatloaf in there. Now we're going to shape it into a nice loaf. The nice thing about the silicone is that it will allow us to really get down to the sides of the meatloaf. Now, this silicone loaf pan is one that's sold on Amazon. And I'll link it down below in case you'd like to have one. So we got everything out of there. And it's over there in the sink. We've got our meatloaf here. And while we're not going to cook it presently, we're going to let those flavors go through. Now the secret, you can see we've got our meatloaf in there. It's got room on the side because there will be juices that are going to form. I'm going to take my hand and just take a knuckle, and I'm going to make a little dent in the middle of our meatloaf from one end to another. And the reason for that is for two things. Is that I'm going to place some ketchup right in that portion, as well as it's going to help our meatloaf cook and help it to cook evenly. So I don't know if you can see that I've made that well. So I'm going to wash hands. We're going to get the ketchup and we're going to smother it all over our meatloaf. Okay, let's get our ketchup. Let's see, I think I might have some here in the refrigerator. Let's see. You know, I must have used it all up, so we're going to have to go in the pantry and get some ketchup. All right. Got ketchup. You know, ketchup can be used as savory sauce, as well as you can, we like it we can dress it up. We can add more sweetness to it. We can make it more barbecue-ish. We can just do all kinds of things with ketchup. So we're going to take our ketchup and we're going to pour ketchup into that well. Can you see that? Got our ketchup right in there. Get my spatula. Use it right there. That's it, take it out. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to spread it across our meatloaf and even let it run a little bit down the sides of the meatloaf, because it's going to make, first of all, a beautiful almost crust to the meatloaf. Not a hard crust, but a nice and it's going to give it great flavor. So I'm taking this and just opening up that silicone dish and putting this all around our meatloaf. Turn around. Take some of that ketchup and spread all on the side because we want all of it to taste good. Okay. Now, our meatloaf is ready. Now, at this point, if I wanted to put it in the oven, I could certainly go ahead and set it on a 350 to a 400 degree oven, and that depends on your particular stove. If your stove runs hot, then you may want to leave it at 350, 375, somewhere around there, and let it cook. And take your meat thermometer and test it and see. I like mine somewhere around 175 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you like yours a little more red, which I don't, I want mine well cooked, and it's going to be. And so because of that, I'm going to keep it somewhere between that 170 to 180. And I'll make sure that I test it before I, of course, serve it. And in fact, I usually cut it even just to make sure that it's nice and done. Now, like I said, I'm going to serve this with some rice. I'm also going to have some broccoli on the side. Now, all of the drippings that are going to accumulate inside of this container, I'm going to add to a skillet of gravy, and it's going to add the best flavor to that gravy. It's going to kind of have a little bit of that sweet tomatoey taste as well as, but it's not going to be sweet. It's going to be quite savory. And so we'll be able to have this ready. Now, I thought if I were going to put this into a container and freeze it for a couple of days, or even for, I could freeze this for several months. Now I'm going to take out the ground beef that I have, and I'm going to place it right here. Now, what I'm also going to do is to shape it just a little bit, because I want it flat. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to flatten it out as flat as I can get it inside of this Ziploc bag. And the reason for doing this is that when I'm ready to use it, then I'm going to be able... Hello, Khadijah. It's so good to see you. You made meatloaf yesterday? Ah, that's wonderful. We love meatloaf. We don't have it often, but occasionally we do. So I'm flattening this ground beef out into this Ziploc bag. And what's going to happen is that when it goes into the freezer, it's very thin. And so because it's thin, two things are going to happen. Number one, it's going to freeze quickly. But number two, it's not going to take up a lot of space in the freezer. And number three, when it's time to thaw it, it's going to be done in no time. So those are the things that we want to be able to do. So here we have our ground beef. I'm going to put today's date on it. Let's see, today is 11/20. Somebody tell me, 11/20. Is this the 25th? I think it's the 25th. Close enough. All right, so this is our ground beef. Okay, ready to go. And ready to go into the freezer. So nice and flat and ready to go. So we have put a Make Ahead dish together. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to wrap it well. And in fact, I'm going to put it into a 2-gallon Ziploc bag. And that 2-gallon Ziploc bag is going to allow me to stick it into the refrigerator for this week. It has to be served in the next day or so. And I will bake it and have it ready to go for dinner. And the nice thing, it's the 25th, thank you. And so the nice thing is that I can come in, I'll have my guest, and I can just put things into the oven, and we are going to be able to sit down to dinner in pretty, a short amount of time. And that's really what we want to happen. We want to be able to get that food on the table. Hello, hello. And so we have our meatloaf ready to go. I'm going to get it into the Ziploc bag. So let me get that bag. We need a nice big one. Now, Amazon carries these huge 2-gallon Ziploc bags, and they're pretty reasonable compared to Hefty. Sometimes those are a little pricey. So I'm able to get a nice 2-gallon Ziploc bag. And because this particular container will not fit into my regular gallon bag, so we're going to have to put it in a 2-gallon. So I'm going to get that ready. And we're going to slip this in. Everybody's got our meatloaf is ready. Okay, if I can turn it. I think we can. We can get them turned around. There we go. That's another good thing about the silicone pans is that we can manipulate the pan and get it zipped up. There we go. Let me wash hands. Now, just a reminder, we have our meatloaf ready. Our Make Ahead meatloaf is ready to go. So when I'm ready to prepare it, if not tonight, tomorrow, it's in the refrigerator. It's in this pan. I just have to take it out and put it directly on a sheet pan and let it cook in the oven. And like I said, I like to cook mine somewhere between 350 and 400. And just depends on how attentive I am in the kitchen. If I'm doing a lot of talking, then I'll probably put it on closer to 350 to 375, and I won't have to watch it as closely. Moon is asking, do I prefer to make this ahead for flavor? Actually, yes. And I typically have 1 or 2 in the freezer. And the reason for that is that it just allows it allows all the good flavors to go through it. And you notice I didn't put any salt. And the reason for that is because there will be a little bit of salt in the gravy. So that will take care of that portion. Plus, tomato ketchup has a tendency to be a little bit salty. So I did not add salt. Now, you can certainly add salt if you like. This is a Khadijah, this is a silicone dish, that baking loaf pan that I put it in. So it's very flexible. I had thought about putting one of the other more metal or stainless steel pans in the refrigerator, but I wasn't sure if I was going to cook it today or tomorrow, and I just didn't want that sitting in the refrigerator. But the silicone is so nice, and it cleans up so easy, and it's the perfect size. So this is enough to serve a family of anywhere from 4 to 6, depending upon how much you eat. And by the time you have your sides, and like I said earlier, we're serving broccoli tonight. We're going to have, or when I serve this, I have broccoli planned, as well as I also have some green beans, some French green beans that I think I'm going to throw in the oven with them as well. I'm going to do the broccoli, green beans. I want 2 green vegetables, and I'll roast the green beans. And so I'm going to do rice instead of the mashed potatoes, because I love meatloaf with mashed potatoes. But mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, all of that is going to be a part of this week's menu. So I'm not going to fix that for this tonight. So we'll have some rice, and that will be sufficient. As well as I'm going to fix that tomato gravy that is going to be so good to go on the side. So guys, we have been on, and I hope that you've had fun just taking a moment with me to prepare. I love being able to talk to you while I'm preparing my Make Ahead dishes. I'm here to tell you this is a busy week. And if you have not started some of your preparation for Thanksgiving, then you should. I've got the table set, and it's ready to go. I know I've got all my platters and all those things are out and ready to go. The napkins are out. Everything's ironed and prepped and ready to go as well. So that is going to be fun. I am so excited to be able to, thank you, Charlene. It is Charlene. It is so nice to be able to prep in advance so that on Thursday you can do whatever you need to do, and you can just relax, because Thanksgiving is a fun day. And I don't know about you all, but we want to watch a little bit of football along the way. And I don't want to spend all day in the kitchen. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. Can you come on Thanksgiving? Well, you won't be able to come to my house, but I am sure that there's someone close to you who is looking forward to having you around their table. And so I hope that you will certainly take the time on every day, of course, to thank the Lord for the food that you have in front of you. I hope that you will take the time to thank Him for all of the blessings, because that's really what Thanksgiving is all about. That's why it's called Thanksgiving, because it gives us a chance to just thank God for all of the many blessings. It is a blessing for us just to be here each day, and to have the use of our limbs and our hands and our eyes and everything that He has provided for us. It is thankful for us to even have a meal to be able to put together and have our friends and family. And if you happen to be by yourself, perhaps there's a neighbor who may say, hey, I'm cooking today. Would you like to come and have dinner? And so certainly if that person invites you, take advantage of that That's a new opportunity for a new friend and someone. Always go with something, even if it's a bottle of wine or a bottle of soft drinks, whatever it may be. But take something, take a dessert that's already prepared if you don't have time to cook. So enjoy your family. Have a blessed and wonderful Thanksgiving, my friends. See you soon, right here in the kitchen. I'm Leona Dooley, and this is Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme. Mwah! See you soon.